Hey, it's Rosemary from the Busy Budgeter and Hot Mess to Home Success. And today's Dear Rosemary question is, how can I stop eating out? I feel like every day I think that I'm going to cook at home and then I ended up in the drive-thru at Chick-fil-A, ordering pizza, or ordering Chinese or something like that. So there's a couple of things that you have to think about when you think about meal planning. And the fact of the matter is that most people who attempt to meal plan, particularly in our audience where they tend to be a little bit chronically disorganized, is that they don't stick to it, right? It's similar to budgeting, where like when you set the meal plan out on Sunday, you're like, I'm totally gonna do this. You order all the groceries. It seems like it's gonna work, but then when it actually push comes to shove, life gets in the way and you don't actually do the things you say you're going to do, right? So how do we avoid that? The first thing you have to do is you have to realistically look at your schedule. And that means that you need to have a schedule routine. So I've done our systems on when both John and I were state troopers and we had crazy overtime schedules and we rarely had days off. I think I went 16 days one time without having a day off. We had shift changes, just nutty schedules. I've done it with him working out of the house, me staying home with a home daycare, and I've done it with having my own business and John having his own business. Like, so every realistic situation possible, we've done the system in. And what I can tell you is that when you actually like have a schedule and look at your plan, you need to realistically say, yes, on paper, I have exactly enough time to come home from work, make food, and then go to soccer practice. But is that actually going to happen? Like, what is your personality? My personality is that might be able to happen, but it's not going to happen because in that moment when I'm coming home from work or whatever, I'm going to be like, I'm just going to run through Chick-fil-A because it's going to take me 10 minutes and then I don't have to do any of that other stuff and I free up time. So, what that means is that there's a couple of different ways that you can do this. When you realistically look at your schedule, you can say, you know what, I'm just going to plan ahead to eat out that day, and that's okay. When we plan ahead, it gives us an opportunity to still reduce our expenses. And so I'll give you a perfect example of this. Whenever I'm running around and then I know that I've got to pick up the kids and we've got to go to sports and stuff, instead of going, oh, I'm going to go home and cook, because I know my personality and that's not going to happen, I say, I'm going to pack apples, and I'm going to pack waters and maybe a bag of like veggie straws or something. And then I'm just going to go through Chick-fil-A and pick up a 30 pack of nuggets. Now, a 30 pack of nuggets is a couple dollars. We are spending way less than if we were to buy individual meals for every person. And we have slightly healthier meals. I don't know, depending on how you feel about veggie straws, but we have a healthier meal because we're kind of rounding it out with like water and we've got fruit and we've got veggie straws are better than fries. I think we can all agree. So we're eating healthier, we're saving money, but we're still eating out. That's not a bad thing. The bad thing is when you buy groceries for the week and then life gets in the way, and 5 out of 7 nights you end up going out to eat anyway. That's what we're trying to avoid. Now, if you don't want to eat out at all, there's other ways that we can do this. So I'm gonna go through a couple of the different like what we call meal types that we try to plan for. But everything, the core element of this is being able to realistically anticipate what your schedule is going to be and being able to say, in this moment, I know I'm going to choose this. So instead of waiting for it to happen, I'm going to anticipate it ahead of time. So a couple other meals that you should know about are backup meals. Backup meals are life changers. These can also be called pantry meals. And what that means is that if everything else goes wrong, you can have a backup meal. And this is going to be in place of something like ordering pizza or ordering Chinese, right? So that's like maybe you had a meal plan, maybe you forgot to defrost the meat, maybe you don't have time to cook it, maybe you just really don't feel like it. And normally you would be like, I'm just going to order a pizza. A backup meal is like that last line of defense. You're like, well, I could order a pizza. I'm going to have to wait 45 minutes for it to get delivered. I'm going to have to spend 35 or 40 bucks on it. Why don't I just have this thing that's hanging around waiting for me to bake? Now, a good backup meal is something that is shelf stable, freezer stable, something that could last for a couple of months in case you don't need it, and it's ready to go. It should also be something that doesn't require a recipe or a ton of work. Frozen pizzas are super popular. Spaghetti with frozen meatballs are popular. My favorite is actually burgers. We cook the burgers and we freeze them with the bun. So I can actually stick the bun right in the oven and then reheat the burger and then it's done. And then we usually make them into cowboy burgers with like onion rings and barbecue sauce and stuff like that. But I even have one of our readers, their guilty pleasure is the canned ravioli. It's like their favorite thing ever. So they always use that as a backup plan. Like usually, so in her old way of thinking, she's like, oh, I don't want that stuff in the house. It's bad for me. New way of thinking is like, spending 96 cents on canned ravioli is a lot smarter than spending $45 for the same calories and fat. Why don't we just keep some canned ravioli in the house? So, depending on your taste, depending on how you're eating right now, your backup meal is going to look a lot different. But it's important to have one of those in the house and to have a plan. And another tip is that in the very beginning, when we started this, we were super addicted to fast food. So like the idea, like I craved pizza, I craved fast food because that was what kind of triggered me. And the idea of like staying home for like spaghetti and meatballs was not appetizing. So what I would do is I would print out, I mean, just Google it. I would like find a really, really appetizing picture of whatever my freezer meal was or whatever my pantry meal was. And I would stick it on the fridge. And so when those moments would come and life gets in the way and I don't have time to cook whatever I had planned to cook for dinner or something went wrong, I would have this appetizing picture of something that I could have in like 5 to 10 minutes ready versus spending $45 and waiting 45 minutes for pizza. Um, so that's one of the other options. The other thing I want to tell you is that particularly if you're addicted to fast food, 15-minute meals are lifesavers. And what 15-minute meals does is it's very similar food to what you're already eating in fast food. But what it does is it gets you used to cooking at home. So 15-minute meals is considered to be a baby step. And this was this was such a game changer for me for meal planning because at the time I'm super addicted to fast food and I couldn't understand how anybody made the transition from fast food to eating at home. We tried so often with like traditional meal planning, like actually cooking meals, and it never worked, it never worked, it never worked. And then finally one time I'm like, I'm just gonna eat crap at home. If I'm eating crap out, I'm just gonna eat crap at home. And do you know what? Like that worked instantly. And the reason why, and it's worked for thousands of other people now, is because it's not about doing it right. It's about doing it, which gets you the quickest results, and then you can take one step forward. So once I mean, we don't eat 15, well, actually, I still do enjoy a good 15-minute meal, but we don't eat 15-minute meals all the time now. We eat them kind of occasionally as like fun surprises for dinner. But for the most part, 15-minute meals are things that are using pre-cooked chicken breast. This is my daughter. This is what the pandemic is in unmatched pajamas. So cooking 15-minute meals at home is something that's going to really make a difference kind of long term. And it's can be easy. It can be as simple as frozen pizza or chicken nuggets or chicken tenders, or we try to go a little bit healthier and we used a ton of frozen pre-grilled chicken breast and we turn it into I've got recipe lists that I can give to you on the blog. And then the other thing I wanted to tell you about was that always you have to do the foundation first. So your foundation is your dishes, your laundry, and your schedule book. You really want to have those under control and working because having those dishes done every night means that you can cook in your kitchen. And that's one less step that you have to kind of work through before you can cook at home. And I know that it sounds overwhelming, but doing one load of dishes a day and just hand washing the bigger stuff is not that big of a deal when you put it into practice. But if you can stay on top of the dishes, if you can stay on top of the dishes, then that means that you actually have a chance to get ahead. Okay, I think we are officially done. Yes.